Thank you, Mac. That was amazing. So before I read, I wanted to say a few words of thanks. And I've written them down because I just want to get them right. So I know that Christine Weiser and Carlos Botero have gone to a lot of trouble to make this evening possible. And I want to thank them for all the wrangling and finessing of details to bring us all here tonight. For the last month or so, I've been exploring the Philadelphia Stories website and getting a sense of the work the organization does regionally, workshops and conferences and professional development and youth outreach. You guys are no joke. As near as I can tell, although Christine and Carla are just two women, they seem to have the energy of 1,000 women. To Mac, thank you for your kind and uplifting remarks. I mentioned I've recently read some of your work, and your stories rock, and that makes your remarks all the more meaningful. Thank you to my wife, Amy. I knew this was going to happen. For all her support, and for making space for me to disappear all those Saturdays when I go off to tinker. This happened when we got married too. When I go off to tinker with a story. And perhaps most importantly, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the McGlinn and Hansma families. I've heard from Christine and Carla both what an amazing person Marguerite was. A great friend and enormously talented writer, passionate and charismatic. Thank you for allowing my work to be a part of the legacy that honors her memory. I hope it's not too crass for me to also point out the monetary value of the prize is really exceptionally generous. Thank you. Well, so, I don't think I can read that. So anyway, I've been waiting a long time for an occasion like tonight. I'm going to have to go to the story, I mean.
And then come back
to get on a train and ride it somewhere new where people, strangers even, will be waiting to hear me read one of my stories. I'm waiting a long time. I've been writing stories and thinking about how they work for many years, essentially all my adult life, and for the most part, it's been a very private, anonymous experience. In fact, I've grown so accustomed to this ignored, swatted down anonymity that I come to see it as a sort of natural habitat of a story writer. And like so many writers, you just keep going. But shoot, along the way, at some point, you do need somebody to throw you a bone. You just want somebody at a reputable publication to say, you did it. You ran it down. So tonight, if I could distill this feeling into a single word, it might be this. Finally! So anyway, thank you again to the McGlinn and Hansma families, to Kevin McElvoy, to Christine and Carla, to everyone at Philadelphia Stories for building a community that can feel connected around writing. I'm proud to be associated with this publication, the work you did. Good Lord. So I'm going to read for about 14 minutes, if at any point you feel like nodding off, I'm a school teacher. This wouldn't be the first time I've done this before. So let me just set up the scene I'm going to read. So in the scene I'm going to read, the narrator, Franklin, has moved from one side of the city to the other to move in with his grandmother, who he calls Nana. With him is a 9-year-old girl who he's taking with him, and because her mother can't take care of her. And along with Franklin is also his own mother, who's drug addicted. So in the scene I'm going to read, they're in the grandmother's place, Nana's place. The mother's name is Excuse. No one believed Excuse's promises about getting herself together once we were on the west side, because she never had herself together over east. That first week, though, we were counting our shadows, because Excuse had trouble running her little outside scams. She'd steal the soap bar out of the shower to try to sew it. It might have been the second or third night after we got to Nana's. We sat around trying to act normal. Maya was messing with a rainbow hula hoop Nana had brought home. Nana sat in her recliner working the crossword. Excuse was smoking at the window, and I could see Nana clocking her over the top of the open newspaper. There was a sour-sounding piano in the living room that Nana claimed Excuse could once play, but I'd never believed it. I stepped over to the piano. "Play me a song, Ma." Excuse acted like she hadn't heard me. "You can't play, can you?" She blew smoke out the window. "Nana, she can't play," I said. "She loved that piano. She was the only one that could play," Nana said. "Scott Joplin, Fats Waller, even some Bartok." I pressed down a handful of keys. It jangled like an old toy. "You got jokes, Nana." "I wish I did," Nana said, working the crossword. I opened the bench lid and looked at the thin books of sheet music, the old scribbled notes on some pages. "I don't care what Nana says. I don't think you can play," I said. "And you can stop, Franklin, okay? I got enough to forget without you bringing shit up. There you go asking about a piano." She twisted her cigarette into the brick sill outside and left it there. I closed the seat lid again. "It was a long time ago," Excuse said, getting up. "I played then, I don't now. What you want, to kick a can? I can't change nothing what happened. You ain't Chopin yourself." She walked into the hall and was out there with her hands on her lower back for a minute, trying to get herself together, and she called me over, away from Nana and Maya. We stared at each other, neither of us speaking, and then she said, "I'm gonna need something."